One of the questions we get asked most often is, I want to sell my house as is. And you know what? The truth is, some people just don't have another choice but to go as is. But today, we're going to spend this video talking to you about some of the pros and some of the cons of actually choosing to sell your house as is. And it comes up all the time, and it sets off all kinds of different things, both good and bad. So we're going to break them down for you and see which one is the right fit for you. But before we get started, if we're meeting for the first time, hello, my name is Alex and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville, and I love sharing great content like this to people that are thinking about making their next move, whether that's here into Middle Tennessee and Nashville or anywhere into parts beyond in the rest of the United States or even the world. We help make those connections and introductions before that move happens and before you get into it. So we share great stuff like this. So if you get any value today, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And if you really are thinking about your next move, let us know, because you can pop in and get a free 30-minute consultation with us wherever you may be going, whatever your situation may be. We'd love to hear from you. But let's get back to today's video. Okay, let's talk about some of the pros of selling your house as is. Number one, pretty easy, right? It's an easy choice. You don't have to do any work. And that's one of the things many sellers really stress out about, is going through the process of, what do I fix? What do I not fix? I've lived in my house for the past 20, 30, even 40 years, and I just don't know if I want to go ahead and make all these repairs and improvements and bring it up to today's market. Well, that's part of the conversation, right? Is where is the market today? And how much is that going to cost? Is it going to cost out of pocket? Do you have the dollars, the time, or the patience to get into doing those repairs? And if you don't, that's okay. People do that all the time. We run into clients that just come to us and say, look, we don't have the time, the patience, or the resources to go through this process and manage renovation or an update to this property. And that's okay, because there's buyers that are out there that are looking for opportunities that want to make it theirs. I happen to be one of those people. If I'm going to buy an older house, I don't want you to mess with it. I want to make it my own. I want to use my people and my vendors and resources because I have them, and I want to use my folks, my plumbers and my painters and roofers and landscapers and, all of those things, structural specialists and HVAC specialists. We want to put our people on site for those things. And there's plenty of other people like that in whatever market you may be in. So don't worry if you don't have the time, the dollars, or resources. It's okay. You can sell as is, but we may want to talk about whether or not you put that in your marketing and advertising. Another pro of selling as is it's fast. It's easy, it's quick, it's easy, it saves time. You get to the market quickly and you get out into the market having people see your house sooner than later, and you just don't delay at all. You get to the market and you get to those dollars in equity much, much quicker. Now, this is very true, right? If you don't have any time, we get those calls all the time from people that I just don't have time for whatever it may be, any number of reasons. It can be life changes, it can be job changes, it can be any number of financial changes in people's lives. There can be lots and lots of situations, beginning of life and end of life and relationships ending, all kinds of things, beginnings and endings all around houses. And all that to say, if you just don't have the time, it's easier just to go to market and see what happens and manage that. And that's something that you could do as a pro. It's much, much quicker. It saves time from going through the bid process and deciding what needs to be done and what can be done or what should be done. And it just gets you to the market much quicker and into the process. The third pro of selling as is you don't really have to make any decisions. If you've lived in your house for a long time and cabinets are outdated and the lights are outdated and the carpet needs to be replaced, you don't have to make any of those selections whatsoever. You don't have to worry about the vendors or the different color choices or the types of materials that today's buyer is looking for or anything like that. You just say, look, this was mine and I'm done with it, and there's going to be plenty of equity in it that will be fine. I just don't want to go through that hassle, right? So it's no hassle. It saves you time and it gets you to market much more quickly. So these are the pros that you want to consider if you're considering selling as is. Okay, now let's get into some of the cons of why you would want to sell as is. And one of the cons is you're going to get a bunch of lowball, just garbage offers. 50 cents on the dollar, just, hey, I'll give you this if you want it. And that could just really burn people out. They sometimes just don't want unqualified qualified buyers, they get offended by that. You've gone through the process, you've hired a professional, and they've given you a real knowledge of where the value of your house is in its current condition in the current market. And you will get some of those. When you go through and it's as is, you just got to expect that there's going to be people that are going to come through to fix and flip your house for a profit. And in order to do that, they've got to limit their expenses. And the repair can be a fixed cost. So the only way they can create a margin is the purchase price. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that just take those offers because they just don't have the time or patience to work through fixing anything and going through it. And so they leave that margin for that fixer or flipper to go ahead and have a profit. And again, that can be a good partnership and working relationship to help everybody as long as they know and reach their goals. But maximizing your dollars and getting the highest yield out of the home that you have probably is not going to be selling it for less than it's worth. So if it's going to frustrate you going through and having to talk through lots of different offers and talk to your real estate professional frequently because they're required by law to present these offers to you, that's going to frustrate you. That's definitely a con for selling as is. The next con for selling as is actually going through and knowing that you're going to limit the number of buyers that you are going to have that come to see your property. It's going to scare buyers. Now, this is one of the main reasons we don't advise our clients of selling as is and putting it out there and advertising it as a sold as is. It immediately turns off a very large number of buyers. Some of them are just going to be like, I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong with that house and I'm just not going to go see it. And so that hurts your value drastically. When you lower your potential number of buyers, then that lowers your potential number of offers, which in turn lowers the number that you can get. You want to get as many buyers in there to see it, to make as many offers as possible, and maybe even creating a bid war to run the price up because everyone says, oh my gosh, I gotta have this house. And there's ways to do that. There's strategies to do that around pricing and setting it up for success. But you want to make sure that you got to decide if it's got as is attached to it or not, because it's going to significantly limit your buyers that come to your property. Okay, next, if you're considering selling as is, you want to make sure you do a significantly good job on your disclosures. Now, no one on any real estate channel on YouTube talks about their disclosures, but this is very, very important. When you say you're selling your house as is, you're going to have to disclose as much as you possibly can about the condition of the property. And you want to make sure that you're telling the buyers everything that they know, because again, here's the con. You could run into future lawsuits, and you could run into lawsuits from them for not disclosing and not telling all the condition of the property that you know it to be in. And you were just saying, I'm telling it as is. I'm not telling you anything. And I'm not telling you about all the terrible, shoddy DIY electrical work I did. And then the house burns down. You're going to end up in a lawsuit. So you want to make sure if you do choose to go this way, you want to do great disclosures. But for sure, a con is that you could end up in a lawsuit over the condition of the property. So make sure to avoid that. You do a great job on your disclosures. So our next one is talking about actually going through and limiting your number of buyers when you sell as is. If you're in really, really poor condition, there may be buyers that want to buy your property but aren't allowed to because of the type of loan that they're getting. So when we go through and have someone say, hey, I'm considering selling as is, we say, well, why? What are we avoiding? What don't we want to do? Do we not want to put money out of pocket? Are we in a hurry? Do we not know any vendors and all that kind of stuff? Because 92% of the closings that happen in the United States have a loan associated with them. And those that they do, several of them have restrictions around the condition of the property. Because if they're going to be letting a borrower borrow money for 20, 30, or even 40 years, they want it to be in good condition so they know that their investment is going to be a solid. So we actually go through and we'll talk through it with our sellers to avoid some of those type things. When I started my career, there were some very clear restrictions with certain government-backed loans that you couldn't have flaking paint or you couldn't have certain broken glass in the windows and things like that. And if that happened, you had to go ahead and get those things repaired prior to market, or it would slow you down in the process as far as getting to closing. So the fourth con we're sharing with you is you may disqualify some of your buyers who do come to see you that are getting loans, which are most of them, that the loan that they're getting and that they're qualified for just doesn't allow them to purchase your property. So now that you know some of the pros and some of the cons, how do you decide? How do you decide if I really need to sell my house as is? And again, as as we've discussed, there's lots of situations where you just don't have a choice. It's the way we have to go. And we have many houses every year come to market as is, and just we take it to market, we give it our best shot, get the most that we possibly can with the least amount of hassle and the least amount of effort, and money out of pocket for that matter too. Sometimes that's just what we have to do. But when you have an opportunity to discuss these things and to go through it, there's two key things that you can do to help you decide if you should sell your house as is. So the first thing is to meet with your real estate professional and go through a comparative market analysis, looking at other relevant sales that have happened in the market recently and deciding what improvements you could make to maximize your home's value. You may find that there's a lot of different local market conditions. In our market, we have some properties that it's absolutely not worth selling and improving the property, and it's just not worth it. It's entirely meant to be sold as is because the neighborhood has gotten very popular, the demand has changed, and the zoning allows you to tear that house down and put two houses back. In that scenario, it's totally worth it to go through, sell it as is, because the future buyer and the highest yield is for the two lot value that you have in your neighborhood, not the condition of the property. Now, that's a hyper local unique situation. And again, you need to talk to your real estate professional. If you're in Middle Tennessee, we would love for that to be us. Please follow the links below and you can have some of the conversations with us live and in person for a personal consultation. But if it happens to be somewhere else in the world, you can also follow that same link and we can help make an introduction to someone in your market that can give you that guidance and give you that best advice of what's going on with relevant sales and other relevant sales in the market and which ones are going to maximize your dollars. You may find that small repairs and improvements to the property can actually really yield high returns for you when you go to sell this house. Okay, the next thing you can do that's a very small investment but is very, very strategic, and you don't hear that many people talk about it, is go through and get a pre-home inspection before you sell. Now, this is something we recommend to almost every seller we have because every buyer that they have is going to do a home inspection. It's part of the process in this market and in this time, and it's just become part of the process. So it makes sense as a seller to go through, invest in a home inspection in advance, to go through and find out what buyers may discover in there. You don't hang out in your crawl space, you don't hang out on your roof, and you for sure don't look at some of the walls and the outside trim and things like that. So we advise that people go through the process and actually find out with a home inspector what they need to do. Now, this can save you a ton of money, and home inspections are expensive. The price of those has really, really expanded, and it's generally on a price per foot basis. However, you don't want to compromise the quality of the inspection, and you want to see what a buyer is going to find. And some things you can really optimize with your real estate professional and your home inspector and your contractor, and really take your home to market in top condition, which will help you with speed. It'll help you with repairs, and you'll know that when you go to market with confidence, you're ready, knowing what the buyer is going to find, and that allows you a negotiating advantage over them and allows you to get the highest yield for your property, not getting stuck having to negotiate with them over their opinion of the value of those repairs versus you doing it on your own and just with your real estate professional. So this is one of our key secrets that we share with our clients in the market about maximizing their dollars and making sure that they can get the highest yield when they go to sell, because some things can be repaired in a very professional way. We're not hiring, cheap people or doing a cheap repair, but it's just a matter difference of opinion. If you're in the process and your buyer discovers it, they're going to call someone, and it doesn't really matter who it is. And if they have a quote for $10,000 and you have one for $1,000, and both could be the exact same quote, ultimately in the process, you're going to meet in the middle. And that's where you cost yourself thousands of dollars. Or worse, it blows up the deal. Now your property could be stigmatized in the market because it went under contract and then didn't sell. And now what's wrong with it? And that can even cost you more thousands of dollars into the transaction. So this is why we advocate, in a good strategy if you're considering selling as is to get a pre-home inspection. So which one of our tips was your favorite tip today? We love sharing things like this and we love hearing from you. So if you heard one that you hadn't heard before, drop us a comment below. Or if there's one that we didn't share, drop us a comment comment. We'd love to hear from you about that. Again, we love sharing things just like this so we can meet great people just like you and be their guide to our market here in Middle Tennessee, in Nashville, and making connections to our partners across the country and the globe for that matter. So if you found value today, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, drop us a comment, and most importantly, if you're 12 months away from your next move, please drop us a note, hit us on that link, and we would love to share some time with you here real soon. But until we connect again, my name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again real soon, and let us know what you want to see from us. We love doing these videos, and if there's something you want to see that we haven't done, drop us a note, and we'll have it here on YouTube. But until we see you again, keep on keeping on. We'll see you soon.